Well, hello, folks. Once again, another wonderful episode of Ned's Coffee in Quarantine. This one I am really excited for. A long time ago, I did a top 5 guitarist list that inspire me. People that are just like, oh my gosh, they get this sound, they get this crunch, they get this style, they get all this stuff. And easily on that top 5 list is the guy that I'm talking to today. Lead guitarist with the band Dope, and also a connoisseur of music on so many different platforms. Just go to his YouTube channel and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's Virus from Dope.
Hey, thanks for that. Thanks for the compliments, man. It means a lot. It's great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And before we got into this thing, and maybe I'll slide this at the end of it, we were just kind of nerding about your guitar wall over there and just the amazing Deans. And you pointed out mine, and I'm like, I got one and a Virtual Boy for Nintendo, and he's got like this glory of guitar. Oh, here we go. This glory of guitar wall up here. I'm like, man,
I'm lucky, man. I really am. And Dean Guitars has been so great to me. And actually, it's 20 years now.
20 years.
Yeah, it was 2000 when I joined the band,
Mm-hmm.
and I was using a bunch of different guitars back in the day. And
Yeah.
but I always gravitated towards Dean. And what's funny is, like, this is going to sound strange to people that, you know, Dean's a huge company now,
Mm-hmm.
all over the world, a lot of artists. But at the time, they didn't have anybody. So like, they put me on their website when you went online, and they put me there, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, who the hell am I, dude? Like,
Yeah.
but after that, like Steve Stevens, Dimebag, like they all started coming back, and then Dean just blossomed, and a lot of credit due to Elliot Rubinson, who passed, and his son now is just totally killing it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just been awesome to me through the years. So
You know, I've been to that Dean site, I mean, hundreds upon thousands of times at this point. You know, you always do the dream of like, ooh, I'll get this one. Ooh, I'll get this one. I want to try this one, or whatever it may be. And just like you said, when you look at the artist, I'm trying to think back to around the early 2000s of when, you know, Dope was kind of really rolling, still is today, obviously. But I think about like the style that you had at that time. If I remember right, you had a mohawk that was spiking up, and you know, the different facial piercings and whatnot. So when you click over to the Dean website, it's the first thing you see is Virus.
yeah,
out there.
that's old school, you know,
Mhm.
back in the day. But just as a little side note, totally destroyed my hair.
Really.
I do not recommend that. No, don't do that.
But you've always had interesting hairstyles. Even in like the Device era, you had like kind of a strip in the middle, and it really hung down.
That's
And
what
I'm
I
like,
have now. That's what I have now.
yeah.
And so now when I'm not, I just get it, you know, because then it just hangs in my face.
Hmm.
So all day I'm like this. So I just kind of tuck it back,
Yep.
you know.
And make it is now that's a fun question, because obviously through this whole quarantine thing, people are complaining about the fact that they can't go get a haircut. I'm even starting to show like my blue is now kind of light blue, and this is like a
Yeah.
weird piss green.
Or
I
you
don't
can
know
just
what it is.
not, don't wash your hair and it'll stay blue.
Do you see? Yeah, that's the thing. Until eventually my coworkers start saying like, Ned, you kind of smell. I'm like, yeah, dude, I know, it's cool.
And
So
my girlfriend's a hairdresser.
so you got the benefit, man.
Yeah. So, but you know, she's in a couple forums of salons and hairdressers, and just, they show all these nightmare dye jobs from
Mm,
box dye from like CVS, and people just ruining their hair.
yeah.
And it's just like, she'll show me some of these pictures. I'm just
Mhm.
like, why can't they just wait? Like, just wait.
Yeah, it ain't gonna kill you.
Yeah,
I mean, the hair's there.
yeah, because then they go to the salon, and then people like my girlfriend have to fix their hair,
Hmm.
and it's a nightmare. And
Yeah,
then to explain to someone that, like, no, you can't do this in one step. You're going to have to come back.
yeah,
And then because they just don't understand how it works. Like, you know, your hair will break off. And
yeah. It's not good. It's not good at all.
just everybody be patient. We're going to get through this thing.
Hmm.
And
It's
that's,
like a tattoo, you know. You go one setting and then you go back and like little touch ups, kind of thing, like
yeah,
that.
like you get a big tattoo, you get the outline done. You go back, get the color done. And then you're sitting there and you're like, you know what? I'm going to just go back and have them revisit this area. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of hair, now we're on the hair train because, guitar one thing and now hair. For anyone that watches this, please look up just Virus of Dope on Google and just look up the different hairstyles that this man has had. Now, when do you think was the last time that you even remember having a quote unquote normal haircut?
Probably in the late 90s. Like I went through the whole metamorphosis and evolution of hair. Like I'm 50 now, so like I grew up in the 80s. So of course I had, you can find those too. I had hair down to here. They called it the palm tree, where it was like
Yeah.
big poofy thing and then just really long in the back. The Eric Brittingham of Cinderella, like I looked like that. And then Kurt Cobain totally changed my life. So I got the bob. Then after the bob, I just totally just shaved my head like a buzz cut. And then I grew in the mohawk. And then I was like, this is where I got to stay.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is where I'm kind of going. And then you start losing your hair a little bit. You're like, well, I got no choice. I have to do this now. So then I did that for years. And now I've got this stupid haircut, which is, it'd be nice to have options. So I'm going to say, the last normal hairdo was like 97.
97, man. Just think about how many years ago that was. Just as
Dude,
like, I
it's
remember
hard,
those days.
yeah, it's hard to think back. But time goes really fast as you get older,
It really does, man. I mean, especially even right now, just thinking about this whole quarantine situation of like, this thing started, early this year. And it's like, wow, it's already May that we've been dealing with this.
Like, are you noticing, like, I know like things are weird, but like, are you noticing days are going by quicker?
Yep. I'm like, how the hell is it May? I mean, I feel like April just started and now it's like the middle of May.
Yeah.
And the way that our workload has changed in so many ways, not just from obviously musicians and radio people, but everyone and what they do. It just feels like you clock in, you clock out, and you've been at home all day. It's just such a different thing. And I don't have kids or anything like that, but when it gets to that point, it's just going to keep going faster. Just keeps going faster, man.
Yeah. I'm just glad we're getting through it though. And I don't know, I'm not sure if you have any predictions when this will kind of subside to a point where things could be semi-normal. Like, you have any predictions?
I'm going to say I was hoping in July because I have a rock festival booked for that month, but it changes every day. It changes every day. And right now I'll throw out the prediction. I'm going to say the fall time.
Right when flu season starts to hit again?
Yeah, exactly. So, and a whole nother flu will take over. And before you know, I'll be like, oh yeah, what was that COVID-19 thing?
Yeah, like I've got shows booked, like, every weekend. When I'm not on tour, I'm playing locally. I'm in a bunch of different things. So yeah, every weekend I just see the gigs get canceled and then I reschedule. Like I'm actually supposed to play Friday night in Rochester, New York.
Oh man.
And I booked that back in February, maybe before this whole thing kind of really started. And then, I got to move it. I just don't know when to move it to.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like all these bands and artists are moving things, and a lot of them are starting to kind of roll into 2021 where, hopefully everything will kind of be leveled out by that point. And it's a big hope, of course, but I'm starting to think of like, okay, how many damn concerts and festivals and bands and shows are going to be occurring in 2021 to repair what we're losing in 2020?
Yeah. Like we were, obviously, festival season is coming up now, and like we had some European festivals booked, and what they did was they just took the whole lineup, and it's 2021 now, which I'm happy for. Like Whack, and like we're I've never played it, so I was super excited about it, and obviously it got canceled, but they just took everything and moved it a year later, so I'm looking forward to that. Well, how do you feel about this Motley Crue Def Leppard thing? Like because it's coming up, dude. Isn't it like August?
It's very soon, and they have not said anything.
Well, they said it's still on.
Right. They said it's still on, but I'm curious to see what that's going to look like eventually, because even more and more stuff keeps getting, even the Rockstar Mayhem Festival has decided to, like, they were going to rebook and do a whole thing this year, and now they're moving their entire thing, and that's big arena shows. Those are big amphitheater type of things.
Where did they just moved it when to later this year?
2021.
Oh, they just bypassed it all.
Bypassed it completely. So when I think of, I mean, I would love, I was so excited. I'm like, dude, Joan Jett and Poison, Motley Crue, and Def Leppard, it's gonna be amazing. But I just don't see it happening
I
at
think it's too
all.
early. Like, I don't know why they're not out. You know what? They probably are. Like, I know how these things work. Like, there's all this
Yeah.
behind stuff with the agents, management. Like this is a lot of money we're talking about. So obviously they have to have a plan. I don't
Hmm.
know if they're just kind of waiting till it gets close enough to where they go, you know what?
And
It's this isn't going to happen, and or they take the front end of the tour and maybe they put it at the end and reschedule those and just kind of maybe they play the September dates.
yeah.
But there's definitely a plan. Like that, all the stuff that's at stake with all these big names. Like there's
Hmm.
definitely a plan that we don't know about.
Right. And like you said, when it comes down to it, money is a massive thing because that stadium tour and so many people have already bought tickets. I have tickets to a couple shows. One of them is Green Day in Minneapolis. I'm doing a little traveling. Why not?
Nice.
And Chicago, the Rammstein tour, which they just postponed the European dates, but they have not postponed the American dates yet,
When
from
is
what I
that at? When's
understand.
that? The one of those dates?
Green Day's in August and Rammstein is in September. What do you think? Do you think like August, September are we ready for big, huge shows and
I don't.
ballparks?
I don't think so. But like by then, like I'm sure people will be back at work in a limited capacity.
Hmm.
So there'll be some sense of like, oh, at least I can, you know, get my hair done
Yeah.
or comfortably and whatever. But it's the big crowds, man.
Yeah, that's the
That's
big
what I.
problem.
That's like it's the last thing that's gonna be open. Like
Hmm.
what I do for a living, and you do. You're being going to shows and hosting shows and being a radio personality. Yeah, like we're the last line of work that will get the green light. So
Yeah.
that's what's frustrating. It's like this business is hard enough,
Yeah.
and then something like this happens, and it's really debilitating. It really is.
And especially like you said, those big groups, and then not only just like obviously from a financial and working part, but I think people just kind of need that type of musical release or just gathering with friends and social gatherings and whatnot, and having that and for healthful reasons, it's understandable, but it's just such a bummer. I mean, and especially in today's record industry and recording industry where
Yeah.
bands need to tour, they need to tour. They need to sell merch. They need to stay on the road. It makes it very difficult for it to be in this industry right now.
Yeah. And there's really nothing you can do about it.
Right. You're kind of
That's the
stuck.
other part too. Like usually, like say it might be, I don't know, you break your leg and you can't tour.
Hmm.
You know that like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to move these dates and then I'm going to do the shows. But it's, we're a victim of something that we can't control.
Yeah.
And, I think that's when a vaccine comes into the picture. And actually it'll like next spring will be 1 year later,
Hmm.
which is kind of in the window of when they can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not going to happen this fall unless they discover something and it's an amazing discovery. But yeah, like a vaccine, like yeah, then you do go to a concert because
Hmm.
you can get vaccinated or like there's something to combat this instead of getting sick and then
Dealing with
yeah.
it.
So I
Yeah.
mean, springtime I think will be okay, but it's a long ways away.
Yeah. We have a lot of footsteps to fill, a lot of forward marching that we need to do to get to back to normal. And on top of that, what does normal look like after all this too?
It's going
You
to be
know,
different. It's going to be
yeah.
different.
And it's interesting to see because even I just saw an article today on Loudwire saying about how there was a concert that was getting ready to get going and they were going to do what was it? It basically a social distancing concert where they only sold certain selections of seats. But even that being said, the police and the area still shut it down. They're like, no, it's still a public gathering. You can't enforce it.
I mean, you can enforce it inside the venue, but what do you do about people standing in line? I guess
Right.
you can, like they do at the grocery store, 6 feet apart with people blocks and blocks away trying to get in. Like, I don't know. I hate to be the person taking the tickets, working at the ticket counter,
Mm-hmm.
or
Scanning and touching all those things.
yeah, the food vendors inside the venue, the security. There's too many things are risky.
Mm-hmm. And security nowadays too. I mean, especially because all the pat downs you have to do. You have to do pat downs. So that one
Oh
person
yeah,
is touching all that person, then touches the next person and the next person. It's like you're just paying people to spread it.
yeah.
That's what you're
There's a
doing.
guy in front of you, and you're like, you hear him cough, and you're like, you see him getting patted down, and you're next. You're like, can you
Mm-mm.
sanitize first before you get to me? Before you
Yeah,
get your pat down? Like, yeah, it's weird. Well, we're gonna get through it. It's just gonna
yeah,
take a while, and people still have to be patient.
absolutely. 100% patient. And you know what? People complain about the fact of like, oh, I'm being told I have to go to work. It's like, but you also complained about going to work.
Yeah,
Like a year ago. Now you're being told to stay home and do the work from home. It's
yeah.
like, I get it. I mean, when you're at work, you want to be at work, but there's also a part of you that's like, I just like being home, being able to do what I want to do.
Yeah, yeah, it's a weird time. Um, I feel like people are adjusting well for the most part, though.
Yeah.
At first, it was very strange, but I don't know. Once you get into it, because then your routine change. But then once you get into the rhythm of your new routine,
Hmm.
um, it's livable. It's not optimum, but I
Yeah.
mean, at least you're alive. At least like your family's alive, and like if you can work from home, like, dude, that be grateful you can work from home. Some
Exactly.
people aren't working at all,
Hmm.
and maybe they're not getting the assistance that they need from the government, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm still grateful that I have a job as a
Yeah,
radio guy. It's like,
yeah,
yep, I'm cool with this. All right, we're good.
yeah. Like it's cool. Like I've been able to do lessons online, stuff like that. Grateful for that. Like I've never done it before, but
Hmm.
I've gotten good at it the last couple months.
Yeah.
So I just learned a new skill. I try to take the positive out of a negative situation. It's
Hmm.
then I was even thinking of keeping it going, which
Yeah.
like I think I'm going to put together like a little video advertisement for myself and just say, hey, if anywhere around the world, if you want to if you want guitar lessons, or you want to play a little bass, or you want to do some singing stuff, or and then I'm going to leave it open to like, hey, if you're a fan of the band and you want to talk talk shop with me about you want me to tell you band stories and tour stories about some of your favorite bands or rock stars or whatever, like
Mm.
I could do that too. I'll have a glass of wine with you, but
Wine with virus.
yeah, like an evening with virus. I
There you
don't know,
go.
but just to kind of keep things a little bit normal, I can continue to work
Hmm.
until I can play again. So you just got to be creative, and again, you got to be patient, which is hard.
For a few people, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
One of the things I've learned, and just like when you were saying what you've kind of been learning through this whole situation too, is that as a radio guy, phone interviews are like the thing. You're like, oh, you're doing a phoner with this guy or that guy or whatever it may be. I think this whole quarantine has proved to me that radio phone interviews, they're dead, man.
yes, I
Zoom.
totally agree. You can't go back after this.
No, you can't. Zoom, like this whole thing that we're doing right now is face to face communication. I see you, I can see
Yeah,
your facial expression, and it's just more personal. And then on the digital front, you're able to put it on YouTube, which then can get
yes,
shared to tons of people. And it's not just one and done, it's there and it'll
yeah.
always be there. And
Yeah,
like from this
people
point
like
forward, man.
people 2 years from now can go watch this interview and see what a jackass I am, whatever. But like, I don't think you can go back now.
No, you
I mean,
can't, man.
like, remember when FaceTime became popular?
Hmm.
I really haven't gone back after that.
No.
Like, I'd rather just see the person.
Yeah.
Some people never use it. I'm like, dude, like, FaceTime your mom.
You really can. And,
Yeah,
I, again, going back to the whole kid thing too, like, oh, just send them a text. Oh, just send them that. But you lose so much in a text,
yeah.
like the tone of voice, like, and then everyone gets free. Why did he say that? It's like, dude, I was joking. But like, you can't tell
Yes,
from a
yes.
text.
Yeah, like I find myself putting the little smiley face emoji like after every sentence.
Yep.
'Cause I don't want my I don't want my phrases or sentences to be misconstrued. I want, you know, like if I said, "Hey, I really need this today," and
Mhm.
if you just put that with a period, it's like you're on the other end going,
Well, how dare he?
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep. That little
So
period means so much, and who
yeah,
knows
dude.
why.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel like phoners on the radio was such a thing
Yeah.
growing up and like up until recently, but yeah, it's gone.
It's just changed. And there are ways to do what we're doing right now and actually pot that in over to on-air broadcast. So it's like now you're able to get both if you even do an on-air phoner at this point. But it's like, what if you don't like, so for example, what if you don't like that band member that you're listening to on the radio? It's like, well, switch,
Right.
So now you can record it, play back clips of it on the radio, and then
Right.
be like, hey, go check it out at the website. It's all there for
Yeah, it gives you more control.
you.
So yeah, I'm with you.
And people want more control, man. They want more control of everything.
Yeah, I mean it's the more these the technology that we have,
Yeah,
like it just the things you can do now. So when there's something out of your control, you're like, well, like I don't know, maybe you're accustomed to being in control
yeah,
because of
maybe.
what you can do nowadays.
hmm Speaking of control, even as a guitarist and a musician, I've talked to a few guitarists and that have like, well, what kind of amps do you use? And they're like, oh no, we just plug into this pod that goes into the computer and then that's it. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
You don't even
dude,
need tubes.
it's crazy. Yeah, like I don't use amps anymore,
Mm,
live amps.
exactly.
Yeah, like if you've seen Dope the last 2 or 3 years,
hmm
the stage is all video screens.
Yeah, yeah,
And like there's no cabinets on the floor. It actually makes the stage look really big and wide
true.
and it's not it's like a nice clean stage.
hmm
And and what I do is I have my pedal board and I have I use Atomic Amps,
hmm
awesome company. Um, that's sitting on my pedal board, my wireless, a couple other gadgets, and it's that and a guitar. And I'm on a plane going to Russia with just that, and like there I am on tour with just that.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
like, man, I
nuts.
remember back in the day, even
Yeah.
like Device, which was 5, 6 years ago,
hmm
like I had 8 cabinets, which looks cool,
Yeah, it looks big.
and like 3, 4, 5 guitars. Early Dope days, we each had 6 guitars and 6 basses. It was insane. Half of the trailer was guitars. Now, like
hmm
with these little pedals, you can detune a guitar. You step on the pedal. Don't need to change guitars.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
no, seriously, it saves. I can go on a tour with 2 guitars now because you got your main guitar and a backup in case you break a string real quick,
Mhm.
and it's amazing what you can do now.
The fact that you can detune a guitar just at the snap like that, and it's just because of sound, that one, that's huge. Because you would see so many shows that I've seen, you would see the tour guy running off with like, here's the next song because this song is in a different tuning, and I'm like, whoa. And but now, like you said, just click, and all of a sudden your guitar is like a whole new guitar.
Right, right, and like I'd
Nuts.
rather have the control myself, honestly. Again, a control thing. Like
Right.
I'm looking down at the pedal. I know exactly what tuning I'm in. My
hmm
guitar's in tune. It's already warmed up. It's on me.
Yeah.
I can take a sip of my beer or whatever, and not have to, walk off side stage or have my guy come out.
hmm
But yeah, it's amazing now. I'm trying to get a lot of my students to get it.
Yeah.
I teach guitar at a school, and with all these different tunings now, this was never an issue when I was growing up. Everybody tuned standard or maybe a half step,
Yeah.
maybe a drop D here and there. But now it's just, corn, my band, where I drop B, like their drop A, and like, just all these weird tunings. And
Mhm.
uh, it just, I don't know. It teaches kids like intervals, like, okay, well, how far do you have to tune your guitar down on the pedal? And they're like,
Yeah.
and they count, they're like 6. I'm like, exactly, just turn it down to 6 and then they're off to the next song.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was in college. I was always I hated math. I still hate math to this day, and just how technology kind of takes over. When we were in elementary, I was in elementary or whatever. I had to learn longhand. But then when I got to college, the last math course that I took, my teacher said, listen, it's the 21st century. Everything's on calculators. You're just going to learn how to do everything on a calculator. Just like your guitar strings, you just same situation.
Yeah. It's amazing what they can do now. Less gear, less work for the crew guys.
Yeah.
Changeovers, they lift up a pedal board and I'm off stage.
Done.
Yeah.
And your next band is coming up even quicker now. So hooray.
Exactly. Like everybody's happier. So.
Yeah. I saw you guys, the last time I saw you guys before obviously the quarantine happened, and this was December. It was with Static X, Mushroom Head. There was an opening group and you guys as well too. What a gnarly tour that was. But I remember long ago, I'm wearing my Grand Rapids, Michigan intersection shirt.
Oh, wow.
So today, way back, you guys used to tour quite a bit with Mushroom Head. Do you guys still chat with those guys? Or
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're friends. And, when they were on the Static tour for I think they did 5-6 shows.
Yeah. Because Devil Driver had the drop off.
Yeah. So, and then we had kind of a revolving door there. But yeah, they took 5 or 6 shows. But yeah, when we see them, it's like family.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the knock on the bus door and it's my buddy Rick from Mushroom Head or whoever. But yeah, it's we did so much touring with them. And I think it was 2004, 2006, those couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
It was before American Apathy. So all that touring with them really set up that album. They great friends, great band.
Yeah. Tons of fun. And they have a new album coming out, I think in June, if I'm correct.
Oh, nice.
New lead singer. I know that.
See, they're not going to be on tour supporting it.
I know.
Which makes you I don't know if they're going to push it back.
Yeah.
It's a good question. You need, most bands, 98% of bands, you want to be on tour when your album drops because you're up there on stage. You got it at the merch booth and you're like, hey, we just dropped a new album yesterday. Go check it out. Here's one of our new songs. And people can kind of, that is so valuable.
Yeah.
And you have to move the product.
You do.
So I'm wondering if they're going to reconsider. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Now, speaking of new albums, a little bit ago, you told me that you today were tracking some new stuff for the new Dope album.
Yeah, we were in Australia last year, and we knew we had to do something 2021. So this is 2019. We're all over the world, right? So we're in Australia, and that's dude, come down to my room. We got to start chipping away at what we're gonna do here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So how many songs are we listening to? He's like, 50 or 60. I go, dude,
just a couple.
I'm narrow it down to 20 or 25.
Yeah.
But we just we're chilling, listening to stuff. We've always had a bunch of stuff in the can. We're that kind of band where we kind of over record and we have all these cool ideas and maybe it doesn't get finished yet, but it's oh wow, this could be really cool.
Yeah.
So, we'll revisit some stuff that we've had in the can for a couple of years, maybe left over from the last record.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going through all that. And then it gets to a point where it's okay, this is going to be what we're going to work on and get these done. So I actually started last week, started riffing around. And for me and Etzel, we used to live together. And back in the day, it would just be computers with an Ethernet cable through the floor.
Yeah.
Just up, sending files. He's like, hey, what do you think of this? Blah, 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 blah. But now it's Google Drive.
Yep.
Import stuff, send them a text. Hey, dude, I did guitars for blah, blah, blah. Let me know what you think. I did this little thing in the verse. Hope you like it. What do you think? He's oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do that again and try it like this. And so it's just, but again, we've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
So for us, making a record like this is nothing new. For some bands, it's new.
Yeah.
But this is kind of how we roll.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just part of the process. But I don't know. I enjoy this stage when you kind of have the body of work, and then you're just trying stuff and experimenting. So it's going well. Songs are great. Really excited about it. Can't wait for people to hear it.
Yeah, it's
So
part of
yeah,
the art too, you know. That, like you said, that body part where you start to kind of like figure out what it's going to be. It's that part of that art that makes you feel really excited, and it gives you that whole idea of the goosebumps going up your arms of like, ooh.
yeah, and like for my band, obviously it's Etzel's band, so like he's the guy that has to go visualize the album cover,
Hmm.
art, themes. Do the songs go together? Well, like he has to have the whole. Then he starts thinking videos and then so like when he gets to that spot, then that we're kind of then we're actually just kind of finishing. But
Yeah.
before that, it's like listening to songs. And it's funny, like when we were in the hotel room, he's like, dude, what do you think of this one? He clicks the play thing on his iTunes. And it's a song that we wrote like in 2002.
Oh, man.
He's like, what do you think of this? And I'm like, oh my God. But it's funny because songwriting, that's how art works a lot, especially with music, is you're vibing on something 20 years ago or 15 years ago or 2 years ago.
Hmm.
And maybe you get to a point where like, I know there's something here,
Yeah.
but it's like a puzzle, right? Like if you can't figure out how to tie it up in a nice in a bow
Hmm.
and make it a complete thought, then it's always there. It's never a throwaway.
Right.
Like you don't throw ideas away because you wouldn't
No.
have worked on it. There wasn't something uniquely special about it that gave you a feeling of like, wow, this is really good. So
Hmm.
like, there's a couple things where we revisited and then I went, dude, I got something for this.
Hmm.
Because I've been away from it for a little while, maybe a year ago or 2 years or 10 years ago. But
Yeah.
it's really fascinating how it works.
It's because it might not sound good in 2002, but in 2020, it's like,
Right.
oh yeah, that sounds
Yes.
amazing.
You reapproach it differently.
Hmm.
So yeah, I really enjoy that because when we do stuff, it's never like you got to hear our demos, dude. They're never like crappy guitar riff with like, dude, they sound like
They
records,
they
like our
sound like
demos.
albums. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So when you put it on, you're already at a level of like, oh, the bass sounds great, guitars are cut nice,
Hmm.
and then at the end, you do real drums and stuff like that. But with drum programming now, they sound amazing the way you can
Yeah.
write with them and program stuff. So yeah, so revisiting stuff isn't that horrible for us. It's like, wow, this sounds pretty cool already.
And it keeps
So
it sounding like you guys, like
that's the
you
other thing
wrote that.
too. Yeah, yeah. Like we definitely have our own style.
And
You know,
again, and that's part of you, like that. Like you remember how I said that crunchy guitar, that those riffs, that groove. I'm just like, that's the virus groove that he puts into his
yeah,
songs, man. It's like, hmm.
yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, like your band has to have a sound.
Yeah. And,
We like luckily for us, we can kind of go all over the map. Like,
mhm,
we do songs with acoustic guitar in it. Like
right.
there was a time when people thought that was weird, but like that was our third record, Group Therapy, where we just did all these really cool different veins of what dope could be.
Hmm.
So now when we do stuff, people aren't like, well, that was weird for them. Like they
Yeah.
don't say that about us. Melodic, heavy, acoustic, it doesn't matter. Like heavily keyboarded songs with the keyboard being the main thing. Like
Yeah.
we can do whatever we want. So we feel lucky that way.
And as an artist too, being able to get that creative freedom essentially and have
Yeah.
fans accept it is an awesome thing, because so someone could release, like, for example, Kiss, one of my favorite bands. They released The Elder back in like the late or the early 1980s or something, I forget when, but no one could get it. They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
you know
I mean, even
and
the band regrets it. You ever heard Gene Simmons talk about that album?
oh, plenty of
He's like
times.
the elder. That was stupid. He's like then he's like, demons don't cry.
Yep. In
That
that
I
video.
get. Yeah. Demons don't cry.
I'm a massive Kiss fan, man. I have been for years, and even like seeing, I do research of bands and stuff like that to see what they kind of are into, and every single one has a weird fascination with Kiss, or at least one of the band members in the band. Not
Yeah.
everyone, of course, but at least one of the band members. And when they like Kiss, they like Kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
always something.
I'm not a Kiss fan.
All right, that's okay.
And people that know me are like, yeah. It's funny because the songs that I'm a songwriter. I'm a singer songwriter, right? So
Yeah.
I like the songs. There's going to be Kiss fans that are watching this, and I'm going to just say that, like, I apologize for not liking like a lot of their catalog, but I like the songs that Desmond Child wrote for them.
Oh yeah, man.
It's funny,
Oh,
the songs that I'm like, I look it up online and like, I'm like, oh, well, this makes sense.
hmm
Like the guy who wrote all those Bon Jovi hits, like wrote this song,
makes
you know?
sense.
So it's like, I'm just a melodic guy and I can appreciate the rock and roll vibe. Like, dude, back in the 70s, yeah, like it was cool. Like the
Yeah.
image was cool and the songs were cool for what it was. But just I'm more of a melodic dude.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely. And and that's the thing. People like you're supposed to be this rocker. You're supposed to be the heavy metal guy, or even in radio, like, oh, I'm only supposed to like Godsmack or whatever it may be. But you go to my iPod or something like that, and you will see everything from show tunes to early 2000s rap to even like some 90s pop.
yeah,
Like people like to like shame people for like, why do you like this? It's like, dude, just it's music, man. Just
yeah.
enjoy.
It's more acceptable now, though.
Yeah. Oh
'Cause,
yeah.
like I'm around kids a lot, right? When I teach at the school,
Yeah.
and like that's what their playlists look like. But remember, like when we were growing up, it was like you were either like a metal guy, and then maybe you liked just like dance music, pop music,
Yeah.
and like, but it was a separate crowd, even like socially.
Right. You
Like
were
metalheads,
defined by that.
yeah, like metalheads hung out with people that listened to metal, and then
hmm
people that like rap, like it. But then now it's just all it's better than it was, but still, I get stuff. I get hundreds of comments, emails, like Instagram messages, Facebook messages, and hey man, are you into this stuff? And it'll be
hmm
like something extremely heavy. And I'm like, not at all, dude. They're like, what?
Why? How could you not?
Yeah, that's like I play heavy music for a living, and I
hmm
do. Of course, I love it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't put that on when I'm at home.
hmm You got to separate yourself from that.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
playing acoustic guitar more than anything.
Yep.
I'm
It brings
singing.
that sense.
Yeah, I'm singing like Madonna tunes. If you like look at my acoustic show thing that I do, my not your typical acoustic show
Yes.
thing. Like you can go to YouTube and check out the video I made. But yeah, I'm doing Backstreet Boys because they're great songs. I do
Yep.
them in a cool way, my own way.
hmm
And I'll mash it up with something cool like some Linkin Park, or like and I'll just find interesting ways to be creative with doing songs like that. So yeah, like the last band I fell in love with
hmm
was Coldplay. People are like, Coldplay? I'm like, dude, like listen to the songs. Like
Listen to clocks, man.
dude,
Listen to clocks.
yeah, that was the last band that I actually bought the album
Mm,
and then bought a ticket to the show when they came here to Philly.
yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's what I like. Now, AC/DC comes on the radio and I'm in the car
Ooh. Yeah.
screaming along with it because it's like, I love it still.
Mm,
But yeah, you got to listen to other stuff.
you do, because then
Yeah.
it could, as a musician too, that could inspire you to write something of like, oh, but I got this idea, or I got this rhythm idea that could go into this, and it's inspiring to hear other things that could inspire you.
Right. And like, that's one of the things that bonded me and Edsel early when we first met 20 years ago.
Mm,
We would geek out to some Madonna tunes or
Yeah.
like just some pop tunes, early 90s pop, late 90s pop, electronic dance music,
mhm.
just, because we're just more musical and into the vocal lines and like a
Yeah.
lot of this harmony they did here. And,
Oh,
so
I love a good harmony.
yeah, dude, I'm with you.
It's the best. So I know I'm taking up a lot of your time, but I really, because you've mentioned it a few times, and I want to circle back to it. Teaching guitar. I mean,
Yeah.
you were talking about how the fact that you have to do it through Zoom nowadays and everything, but how long have you been teaching guitar? And also, I noticed that you were in a production of Rock of Ages, and obviously doing the acoustic stuff. I'm like, you have such a versatile way of music that you look at Dope and it's like, oh, but he was also in Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about the school.
The school is doing really well. It's called Let There Be Rock School, and it's south of Philly. It's in Delco, Delaware County, and I've been there for years now.
Hmm.
But if you're in the Philly area and you want guitar lesson from me, you got to go through them and online, and you could still go to them and be like, hey, I want to take a lesson with Virus. You just go through the school. But if you're anywhere else in the world, you can just find me on Facebook, Instagram, be like, hey, I really would like a guitar lesson from you. And then private message me. We'll go from there and we'll work it out. But
That's cool.
as far as like Rock of Ages and stuff, what happened was there was a time in Dope's history in the middle there where Edsel was focusing on other stuff. He was working, doing a lot of jingle work and like writing songs for sports teams and
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
He wrote a song for the Dallas Cowboys, like pretty cool stuff, right? He
That
did
is
a lot
cool.
of amazing stuff. So he was focused on that. And then I moved to Philadelphia from Chicago.
Hmm.
And then it kind of allowed me to pursue other gigs that people never knew I could do. But like, I was always like, you know, playing metal. Like, do I want to do this forever? No.
Yeah.
So, you know, Big and Rich was playing in one of the biggest country bands in the world for a little while there. Like
Mhm.
Big and Rich, Rock of Ages on Broadway. I even did Spider-Man on Broadway.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which, like, I had to audition for The Edge from U2, and I was all like, holy crap, this is one of my one of my idols.
Mhm. Yeah.
But he hired me for that. That's like on the resume. That makes me feel like I kind of know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, I guess you're doing all right. If the Edge approves, man, you're good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it allowed me to kind of branch out and play other gigs.
Hmm.
So yeah, Rock of Ages I was playing with Constantine Marula, so like one of the American Idol dudes from way back in the day. And he was the lead in Rock of Ages at the time. And so when I joined his band, all the dudes in there were in the show. So they're just like, well, why don't you just play the show with us?
Yeah.
Be a sub on the show in case this guy gets sick. Like when he goes on vacation, you get all the gigs, blah, blah, blah. So I've been doing that since 2010.
Almost 10. You're 10 years actually. Now
Yeah.
it's 10 years.
Yeah, I'm supposed to play all next week. I'm supposed to play 2 shows on Sunday,
Mm.
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 shows on Saturday. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Probably not.
Yeah, so if you're in the New York City area, like 2-3 months from now, let me know if you're going to be around. I'll let you know if I'm on the schedule or whatever, or if you want to come see me in the show, I can tell you when I'm going to be there. But I've had a bunch of people come out a couple months ago before this started. A lot of friends just, hey, let's go see a show. They drive to New York or they live in New York, and I see them after the show and kind of hang out a little bit. So, you know, you should come see the show. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I have not. And do I have to fly out to New York to see Virus in Rock of Ages?
Yeah, because there's no tour right now, no Rock of Ages tour.
True.
And the only ones that are back now, like they were all over the world, Rock of Ages. Like the only one that's on right now is Broadway.
Hmm.
And then the one in LA is open.
Okay.
And then the one in Vegas is open.
I don't mind taking a trip. I need a good trip. I was in Italy like in February, so I wouldn't mind another one.
Oh, so you were there before the whole thing happened.
I sure was.
You were on that plane like, yes.
I made it out.
Was that when everything was kind of starting?
It was starting, and then when I got back, I flew into O'Hare in Chicago, and when we got to O'Hare, signs everywhere saying, if you were in Wuhan, China, make sure you go this way. And I'm like, well, we weren't in Wuhan, China, so I guess we're all right. And then about 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, by the way, Italy is on fire. I'm like, oh, okay.
Got lucky, man.
Yeah, we made it out pretty nicely. So, but all that aside, though, Italy's fantastic. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
beautiful.
was there last year. Yeah, can't wait to go back.
Oh man, I don't know. We discovered this wonderful pasta dish called, I think it was pecorina something, but it was like basically Italian mac and cheese, which it was just like the certain pasta, a little cracked pepper and cheese, and it was so good.
Yeah, they know how to do it there.
So damn good, man. Now I can sit here and talk about pasta all day at this point, but
I've been doing the veggie pasta, dude. Just let me throw it in there.
oh, really? Dude, we've been switching up. My wife and I have been trying to really kind of stray away from fatty meats and stuff. Yesterday, we made this wonderful burritos, but instead of like meat and ground beef, we used quinoa and black beans.
Yep.
So good. So good.
Yeah, dude. Like they even like I do a lot of tacos and stuff like that too, and wraps and burritos. But dude, I use the veggie ground beef.
Yeah.
Dude, it's freaking delicious. Like, I
Really?
know people cannot tell the difference. The pasta, you cannot tell the difference, dude. I'm not kidding. That's how far it's come.
See, I love finding out these new things. Like, I
Just
want
try
to
it.
try
It's bird's eye, and it comes in the bag, and you put it in a microwave.
it.
And then, like, there's all these different, like there's penne and like rotini and stuff like that, and they come in their own little sauces. But dude, like, it's pasta, but not the unhealthy pasta.
Not covered in flour and mashed and
Yeah,
everything.
it's made with lentil beans and zucchini.
Lentils is something my wife and I have gotten into so much. Like,
Dude, you're
instead
gonna
of
love this pasta. You're gonna love it, dude.
oh man, now I bird's eye pasta, veggie pasta, right?
Yeah, dude, try it.
All right, I'm all about this, man. Okay, well, now I got to go yell at her and tell her what I'm going to get for dinner tonight. So, but on that note, we've been chatting for almost an hour, man. Is there anything you want the fans to know out there, or any advice in quarantine or anything?
Try to find the positives in this awful negative that we're dealing with. Like, paint your house, clean your house, organize that part of your house, or I don't know, do your taxes because now it's been extended. There's things that you can do. You can go online and do anything. You want to fix your sink. Try to fix it yourself. I mean, you're sitting there.
Yeah.
You know, you get above your head, then you call the plumber. But like, you know, you might as well try to get a lot of stuff done, and just try to stay positive and, you know, and stay safe, more importantly, and listen to the doctors. Don't listen to the politicians. Listen to the doctors that say, hey, if you go back to work now, it's probably not a good idea. You know, so wear the mask, I guess, is my final advice, I guess.
Wear the mask. Virus of Dope 2020.
Take it from a guy named Virus. Wear a mask.
Yeah. Awesome. So, man, it was such a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Hey, keep in touch. Find me on Instagram, and then you can send me the link. And
I got you on Instagram.
okay, yeah, send me a message when you post stuff, and then I'll repost it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we wrap it up, though, because I put this in a blog at rock108.com, we always have to do like a quick 3-second still shot. So that way I have a good image to put up there. So whatever you want to do, you can make it just a good smile, grab a guitar off the wall, whatever you want to do.
Well, you know what? I'll use the guitar that I got to use today for the dope stuff.
You know what? I'll grab mine. I'm going to grab mine too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice and clean still. I feel good about this. All right, let's see if I can. Oh, I'm right hand. There we go. Okay. So we'll just do it like you make a nice face, whatever you want to do. And I will get in here in about 3 seconds. So 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Yeah, dude. Excited.
Very exciting, man. There we go. Well, again, man, I can't wait to see you next time, dude. And hopefully that will be a lot sooner than later. But hey, we will stay patient, damn it.
Yeah, and you know what? Stay in touch, man. You need anything, you know, let me know. I know we're probably going to come to town.
Oh, yeah.
2021.
Well, we can go out and get ourselves some veggie noodles, man.
We can do that. If you want us to do some radio stuff, you want to do another interview, get a hold of Tom. He's our guy.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll just keep it a relationship, dude. I enjoy the talks, man. It's a good interview. Thanks.
Thank you so much, man. And I will see you next time, man.
All right, brother. Stay safe.
Adios, amigo.
All right. See you, buddy.
See ya.